is what I want. And again, if you need to go back and touch up a few of these things, you can. But you want to leave all of your foundation lines visible. Okay? Now we're going to go up. But instead of going straight up, I am going to, again, kind of look at the object and tilt my lines just a little bit. Not a lot. So we're kind of contradicting ourselves now, because normally I say go straight up vertically and keep your lines parallel. Now you're going to come up at an angle, and now these two are going to be parallel with each other. And then you're going to do the same on this side, except tilting the other way. And now these two are going to be parallel. You don't want to do it too much, otherwise you're going to have this, his shoulders are going to be huge and he's going to look weird. So somewhere in there should be good enough. Now this should be parallel with everything else. Now we're going to draw the top of this cuboid form that's sort of like a parallelogram. I don't know what you'd really call it. Like so. Right? Now we've got another bevel here. So I'm going to draw some more tilted lines. Now we've got the body of the robot. Now we're going to do the head. So the head is centered. Find the midpoint here. Draw a line that's parallel through the middle. Then I'm going to draw two more lines on either side, because there's a gap here for his shoulders on either side. So we want to account for that. So I've got a decent amount of room there for his shoulders. Now I come up straight this time, straight verticals from the corners of the head. Now once again, I top off my box, keeping it parallel with everything else. I've got another bevel up here. Okay, so now all that's left is I've got ears and antenna on his head that I need to do. I'll come back to that. But first I want to get the arms worked out. Now the thing to note about the arms, you see that they're in three sections: shoulder, forearm, and then hand or claw. And if you look at it from the front, you'll notice that the arms kind of go at an angle. They don't go straight up and down. The torso's going in a little bit, but then the arms are coming out a little bit. So when we draw our guidelines, we want to come out at a slight angle once again. So look at where the shoulder is, where you see that little gap right there? So we're going to come down just below the bevel for the shoulder, and I'm just going to draw a little line right there. And I'm going to kind of center it. That's going to be the top of the arm. Now, not from this view, but from when I view it at an angle like this, you see how the hand comes down to the second leg segment, 1, 2, to almost the bottom, I want to put a line down there that corresponds with that second leg segment. That tells me how long the arm needs to be. You with me? All right. Now I'm just going to draw a faint line. That's approximately the angle that I'm observing for the arm. And here's the part that's a little tricky. Now you are going to draw a box shape, more like a rectangular form, that is parallel on the top and bottom to everything else, but the sides are going to now follow this line, this little axis line that I have set out for myself. Right? Just like that. Make sure I really get those lines parallel. Okay? Now this is going to be my arm shape. I'm going to subdivide it now. I've got the shoulder here. The arm is going to come in a little bit. It's a little bit smaller in thickness. So I'm actually going to come inside and draw that inside. A little bit smaller than everything else. Now finally I have the claw. And the claw of the robot goes out, it tapers out a little bit. So that's why this object is tricky, because you got lots of tapers and things coming out. You just got to kind of know how to eyeball that stuff. So I'm going to get a little bit bigger with this and come out like so. And with a little bit of tweaking, I now have one arm. The one other thing to note about the arms is that you see how, looking at it from the front, there's a line that comes down. You can almost visualize the rest of the arm being inside the robot. So I'll just need to account for that here and just kind of draw a line parallel to the edge of this here to show that, you know, the rest of the shoulder is inside. Well, it's not really inside, it's cut that way, but for drawing purposes, you can just pretend it's on the inside. Got the little claw here, project through to the other side. Remember, we draw through the forms. Okay, so there's one arm. But remember, whatever we do on one side, we got to do the other. So now the tricky part is just projecting our lines through to the opposite side. It's better to do like the top and the bottom first. Draw our angle. And from this angle, I'm just seeing like a little sliver of the hand, like that. The rest of it's all behind the torso. But if you did this correctly, you should be able to just project the lines through, like that. And then figure out where everything goes, without too much effort. Like that. Okay? Now, all that's left are the fine details. All right? Again, we've got the antenna up here, we've got the ears, and then we've got like the face and the chest and stuff. These are all flat details. They don't have, their shapes not formed. So we will just be drawing these shapes on the top of this is on the surface basically. All right, so we find the midpoints here, here. Draw a smaller box in the center of our little plus sign. Draw our ellipse. Now what we're going to do is curve those lines to give the illusion of three-dimensional form. Project through to the other side. Same box on the other side, same ellipse. Okay? We've got our eyes now. Just kind of space those out. They're square, so they're pretty easy to draw. We've got one eye there, one eye there. We've got our mouth, which is even in width to the eyes. We have 4 segments there, so subdivide it 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. Our antenna up here, we're just going to draw a flat plane through the center. Subdivide it into 3 sections. 1, 2, 3. There's our antenna. Then we have, our bolts. We've got an ellipse here. Find the midpoint. Again, a nice smooth ellipse. No footballs, no pointy ends. And then we have, some more circles. I guess they're supposed to be bolts or something, I don't know. All right, so the last step, of course, is tweaking any edges, making sure everything's parallel, tweaking your line quality, making sure everything is accurate. And your structure lines, your construction lines can be faded, but they should still be there. You should be able to see everything. Remember the show your math analogy. I don't want to see just the final solution. I want to see how you got there. So, any questions about anything? Pretty straightforward, right? All right, there's our robot, more or less. All right.